Welcome back to another video in the series. Uh, a little bit of the prior video as well as this and a few more after this video. We're going to get into more of the security or the secure aspect of cloud networks. Now, for instance, this particular video is going to be securing cloud infrastructure resources, and we're also going to be applying some encryption through cloud resources as well. Now, first, with the securing of cloud infrastructure resources, regardless of an organization's preferred environment, right? And on-premises or on the cloud, one aspect remains, right? As far as that's consistent, the need to secure resources. Now, cloud security can span over, where I gotta go here. Spans over several tools, protocols, and best practices, right? Familiarizing with these can enable the ability to address these needs. Now, securing cloud infrastructure resources doesn't end at the initial configuration. Any change brings risk, of course. Now, even if the environment is secure today, it may not necessarily be tomorrow. So what I'm going to do is just do a few things, configure some group policy, and locate some and use Event Viewer as well. So I'm going to start with, let's see, here. That's why I'm on the wrong server here. Different servers have different things for me to be able to do them. Now, while this is loading here, now, again, I'm going to start off with configuring a group policy, which is, I've used in multiple videos. It's a Windows administration tool that allows system admins and security engineers to configure various settings across an organization's infrastructure. Now, while exploring some of these features of these administrative tools, it should be noted how extensive and thorough some of these policies can extend to. And any changes to group policy should first, of course, be tested in a controlled environment before pushing updates to production, of course. Now, given the extensive nature of this administrative tool, I'm going to cover some more commonly used group policies as well. So now that we're in group policy management, I'm going to take a look at what I have here. And let's see, domains open up for me. And practice lab, of course. They're actually going to take a look here. There we go. Perfect. Let me actually expand that. And we want a new one. All right, we want a new practice lab group. Let's see. There. All right, it should populate. Here it is. All right, perfect. Perfect. Now let's take a look at, make sure I go back here just so I can take a look and make sure everything is good. All right, then let's edit it here. All right, let's expand it. Make it a bit bigger. Take a look at our policies and our windows. And let's take a look at the security settings. Account policies. Come on. There we go. Actually, looking here. There we go. All right, perfect. I'm actually going to enable this. All right. Perfect. There we go. Take a look here. All right. Look at the threshold. All right. And we want this to be 3 invalid login attempts. Okay. Finally. Sure why it's working so slow. Okay. Now, just with some policies, as you saw with that last window, it's going to prompt the group policy management editor to give suggested value changes to additional policies as well with them that have direct dependencies or relations to the policy being changed. All right, so now that I finalized those, you can notice now that after completing some of the policy changes and accepting these suggested value changes, the policy settings for the account lockout threshold or policy has changed from not defined to the recommended values. So let's take a look now at, let's see, software. And let me open this up here. It's actually doing, just show us anything. And take a look at our file types. And I'm going to remove an extension shortcut here. Now it's important to remove this. Let me actually explain while I'm going through. Now it's important to remove this at least the LNK files in this case as a start menu, right? And pin items use these designated file types by default. Not removing it would cause links to break, long story short. So now that we got that removed for our designated file types, I'm actually going to create a new path here. Let's see. All right, perfect. And that's going to look like this. All right, perfect. Now the change is finalized. Now by default, the C windows and the C program files or the disk drive C drive are permitted. And on 64-bit Windows program files, which is the x86, it's not automatically whitelisted, so it needs to be added manually, which is why I did that. So now I'm going to take a look at the control policies. And that reloads here. All right, there we go. I'm going to configure our rules. Now there are 4 rule sets here that you should see. It's a little weird. I thought it would be bigger. But nonetheless, the full rule sets are used to differentiate between the different types of apps they correspond with. Where did they go? Oh, here it is. Not sure why it does that, but you have the executable files to see Windows installer rules, script rules. I'm not going to get too much in exactly what they do if they are configured, but I just wanted to point that out. But for the executables, we're going to make sure that that's configured. I'm going to apply there, and then we're going to hit OK. And this actually, why does it keep doing that? It's actually expand this here. Let's expand both windows so I can actually take a look. And there we go. It's actually doing the rules. This is empty here. Let's skip. And we want this to be denied. I'm going to do next. And we want a file hash. So we create a rule for an application that's not signed. Now there are 3 types of primary conditions, right? As you can see here that I can create, but the publisher identifies, as you can see it, and that based on the signature. The path identifies an app by its location in the file system of the computer or on the network, and the file hash represents the system computed cryptographic hash of the identified file. But I'm going to use the, as I mentioned, the file hash to do so, the cryptographic hash, right? So let's take a look at our files, right? And then let's locate our calc. We're gonna look at Windows. On. Then we're going to up past it. So putting this one up here. Perfect. So now we can click next. I'm actually going to leave the name exactly what it is. And now we're going haywire. Not sure. Yes, I'm going to create the file rules. Of course, now this is the first time the executive rules are being generated. So the app locker, it populated that notification to create the default rules. So I still clicked yes, but now that it's complete, you can notice that the executive or execute rules has populated 3 default rules, right? And so we can see here, and they all set to allow, right? And also showing that the deny rule also was created as well. So now I'm just going to take a look at, actually, put this up, take a look here. Um, Friday. All right, so let's take a look at our window component. This might be better. And let's see. All right, so it's not here. I'm looking for a folder. I guess it should be on the side here. Oh, okay. Oh, I see. I see what I was looking for. There we go. All right, perfect. I'm actually going to take a look at that. We're actually going to edit just a few here. Apply. We want to do that one. Enable. Apply. Right. And then okay, because we don't want to specify the maximum depth or anything. But we allow users to pause. We don't want to allow users to pause the scan and to also check for related spyware definitions. So we're good there, right? So actually, you know what? This should be disabled. I enabled. Perfect. So now that we're out of that, let's actually head to another menu here. Pull that up there. Actually head to here. I think it's still on there. It is. All right, perfect. All right. Now remove an access here. There it is. All right, perfect. Now we want that one enabled. All right. We're gonna out of there. Now, what this does is enabling this policy just prevents users without administrative permission from shutting down the computers associated with this group policy. And this policy is often used for like virtual machine instances, typically that users will remote desktop into. But now that I'm done with those configuration, I'm going to actually close that out. And let's take a look at group policy objects. And actually, let me go back here. The add here, add computers, right? Then we also want to add add that there. And of course, we want to make sure that's underlined. So we check name. It's good. All right, perfect. So we added the computer list and we also added the PLAB 10 as far as our security filtering. And we can see that here. Now, leveraging group policy management, I can apply creative policies across organizational units. And as I just demonstrated, right, it can also be applied to individual instances, and in this case, the virtual machine, the Win10 down here. So now I'm going to actually explore Event Viewer, which is a native tool to Windows, again, to use to log application and system operational data. So I'm actually going to close this out. Operational data from errors to informational messages, things of that nature. So it also uses various forms of troubleshooting Windows systems and applications that run on them, right? And I'm going to just get a quick overview of where this tool is located and like kind of information that it would show. All right, so now that we're inside, let me actually open up the window log, take a look at systems, and you see all of the systems here, or at least the event ID, the task category, the source, date and time. I'm just going to filter them, right? So I'm actually going to do critical warning and error. Let's see what those look like. And I'm actually going to take a look at 144. So it can show me the general. I can also take a look at a bit more of more detail of what is, what it can show me as far as the issue with that, more in-depth description of the error being examined as well as the time it was generated. Now, the level column here, we can see that's warning or error. It just indicates what type of log it is, and the most common type is information. Now, the information log, it will notify myself if something has changed or an app or service that's logging an event, right? And a warning log, in this case, this notifies me that something might not be quite right. And an error log is notifying me that something unexpected has happened. And whereas critical log will actually notify me when something is down, broken, crashed, or needs some sort of urgent attention. So let's actually take a look at another one here for security. We're actually going to filter these two. So we see information as I just mentioned. And let's actually take a look at an audit failure. All right, that's what we can see. It's just going to pretty much generate any failed attempts, any failed instances of login attempts really here, right? And I know there's a possibility that no logs have been generated for this section yet sometimes, but it's important to note that these security logs are useful in determining failed login attempts by malicious actors or even users who've forgotten their passwords or even attempting to access resources they don't have permissions for. But nonetheless, I'm just gonna take a look here at some of them. The system integrity and the audit failure that we were looking for. But nonetheless, that's the end of this portion, at least for securing infrastructure cloud resources. Now we're going to get into our next exercise. So while the server is loading up here for me, this final exercise we're going to do in this video, just applying encryption to resources, as I mentioned. So it's not something new. It's been used for years to add security to physical devices, making it harder for attackers to gain access to sensitive data, right? So what I'm going to do is encrypt the virtual machine operating system and data disk in the Microsoft Azure platform. Now, as more organizations move into the cloud, it's easy to forget resources in Azure still have a physical form, right? Now, housed in Microsoft data centers, of course, VMs, right? They're created on the physical device ultimately. Now, encrypting resources or these resources adds additional layers of security to these devices. And I'm just going to walk through the steps of encrypting an Azure virtual machines OS and data disk, as I mentioned, once everything is loaded up here. Actually, let me get some light here while this is loading. All right, let's go ahead and load up Azure here. Now, waiting on to finish here. All right, so let's get started with creating a resource. Sorry, I could have just created, clicked on virtual machine, but that's fine. Create a virtual machine. It's gonna use the resource group that's already populated for me to enter in a few other details for the virtual machine. Not sure what my latency, I mean, it says it's all green as far as full bars, but it's not acting as such. But nonetheless, we move forward. Let's do practice lab. VM. Put another case there. Standard, that's fine. We want this one to be this one. Okay. All right, and we want this one for 2019 data center generation 1. All right, and we want, let's see. One of the biggest pet peeves is a computer that's really lagging behind. But you didn't hear that from me. Just, you know. All right, and let's put our password. Yeah, there. Okay, perfect. We confirm we're all good there. We got our RDP. All right, select imports, they're fine. Actually, everything is okay to go. Never. Okay. Now I'm just going to click create here. Now it's just going to be a deployment in progress. As I mentioned before in prior videos, it can take a bit of a while, especially if you're kind of building it from scratch. I'll place you guys on the other side once the deployment is completely successful here. All right, the deployment is complete, so let's head over there. All right, and now we're at the newly created the PLABS tab virtual machine page. So just going to take a look at our disk settings, right? We're going to actually create and attach a new one. Let's see. Virtual machine, right? 0. You know, we actually want our VIP size to be 32. Right, everything else looks pretty good. So let's just hit apply here. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. So we can get to everything. All right, so the disk is created. So it just updated the machine for the disk, right? Okay. Okay. Fully updated. Perfect. So we're good to go. All right. So now let's take a look in, let's see here, our additional settings. All right. Because what we're looking to do is now we're looking, this is the encryption portion. Got it. All right. Actually, want our operating system and data disk. Key vault. Okay. Let's create a new one. So now, okay, here it is. Got use that for a second. KC encrypted. Next. All right, perfect. Now the reason why I included the X on the end is just we typically like to include random characters for things like these if I could already use because I just need it to be unique to the subscription that I have. Okay, it looks like that one's good to go. Pricing tier is good. Let's actually lower this to 3 days. Actually, you know what? Do 7 instead. That's quite quick. And everything else is good. Okay. Now just first it initially ran the validation and now it's of course creating or deploying rather. And again, I'll place you guys because now after it deploys, I'm going to have to create a key. And I'll place you guys on the other side of when deployment is successfully completed, which hopefully shouldn't take too long. It should be just a second. Well, at least not for you guys. It won't be long at all. But hopefully for me, it doesn't. Oh, there it is. Not do that. Guess it's still working. Okay, there it is. Okay. All right, perfect. So nothing there. There it is. Okay. Creating a key. Here's one. RSA is fine. 2048 is fine. All right. Enabled is good. So let's go ahead and create that key. All right. So now it's being deployed now. And then it should take me back to the disk settings here once the deployment is successful. So, there we go. Perfect. Perfect. Love it. Updated key vault. And let's hit save here. Okay, perfect. Then we're good to go. Now the validation is processed while the deployment is in progress, as you can see here. Okay, then should successfully update in just a moment. Now this one I know for a fact kind of takes a while to do as far as the deployment being completed. But nonetheless, even while waiting for the completion, this does bring us to the end of the video. While I've demonstrated overall for a brief recap, securing a cloud infrastructure resource, or resources, actually. I did a few things, configure some group policy, located and used the event viewer as well to take a look at a few things as far as filtering logs between systems and security, and also encrypted the Azure operating system and also the data disk as well. This was done, most definitely fun. I don't know what that word was, but this was most definitely fun. I can't wait to the next one. Again, this video and the next few going to be around securing cloud resources. So the next one's actually going to follow suit into this one, which is going to be about data security and compliance in the cloud as well. Hope to see you there. In the meantime, stay curious, stay secure.